solution, because for us being a small school and rural community, what we heard happening at different schools didn't apply. You know, we couldn't have 3 grade 4 teachers get together. And so our whole configuration had to look different. So the biggest thing we had to do first was let go of the thought that we have to do it exactly like everybody else. We made our groups into divisions. So our Division 1 team, Division 2 team, and Division 3 team. And then each group evolved in different directions, which has been interesting, but I felt that we had to allow that flexibility, otherwise it may not go anywhere, right? So now what has happened is they have their I guess, leveled learning, where kids are learning at their just right level, and it's going very well. Focuses are different in each group. What we did see, though, that worried us at first, and now we're letting go again, is that there was no movement, or very little, from level to level. Like, you know how in the traditional model you want to have your students move from the different tiers, and that's how you would mark the progress. But we're finding that with the groups being multi-grade, when that, say, top group is moving along great, and your middle group of students are achieving success, well, now that top group has already far exceeded, right? I think because the gap is so wide. So a grade 4 student who maybe was, you know, kind of mid-range and then is excelling is nowhere near that top group that's in grade 6. So that movement up wasn't happening. So what we're finding is that they get put into their groups, and then we're differentiating a lot within those groups. But the focus is able to be different, and that's still helping the student. One thing that we did do that, again, finding time for collaboration is tricky in a small school. So at our staff meetings, we did where each PLC group would share. So I would give them a certain month that they were going to share with the rest of the group what they were doing in their response to intervention program. And I think that was really important. We also took time at PD days too, to review and just say, where are you at? So that the whole school could hear what the successes were and what the struggles were. Because guaranteed every group had times of struggle. So when they were having a time of struggle, to hear the success of another group, I think was helpful. And the other groups could give some support as well, because they need it from more than just the administrator. I think definitely the idea of letting go of having to follow the mold. You know, we had a group of teachers who read the book, and we did the book study, and of course having you come in to present. All of that was helpful, because I think we needed a set framework, but letting go of the need to be just like everybody else, knowing that our school is unique and we have to adapt. That was important. For me as an administrator, I think that framework, like I said, is so important, and making it clear that this is what we're doing as a school, and having that body of support from staff. It won't be everybody, but if we have a good body of support from staff, having that framework and saying, no, this is the direction we're going, so now figure out how I'm dealing, I felt was really important. So changing our terminology in our timetable and setting out specific times where this is where intervention will happen, and communicating that to our public as well. So that increases the level of accountability. And luckily, we had teachers in every division who were on board. So it was tough maybe for them to bring the others along, but there was someone in each group who really believed in it and wanted to give it a good shot. So then as administrators, we both would support, whether we sat in on PLC meetings or just talking to the teachers on the side, but really supporting them and saying, find your way through it, it's okay, this is a learning year. And then year 2 saying, it's still a learning year, let it evolve, tell me what you want to do. And then I tried to respond to the second year by changing timetabling a little bit, hearing what they were saying, and again, going into our 3rd year next year, we're making changes again. There are some grade 2 students who might move to the grade 1 group, and I remember at the onset there was so much hesitation and nervousness about, well, how are the kids going to feel about having to go to this grade, or how are the parents going to feel knowing their kids in the smart group or the struggling group. No negative comments from anyone, which is what we had been told during when you were visiting with us, and it's true, because they go to whatever level and they feel successful, right? And I remember very distinctly last year a boy in grade 2 who came to me and said, I can read, and he was so thrilled, and that's not something we had seen from him. So learning at the just right level has worked. And like I said, after year 1, the Div 1 team decided we need to be doing this for every language arts class, not for 40 minutes a day. And then our Division 3 team has struggled, because what does this look like in junior high? It's hard to find a lot of examples of the response to intervention, or we've had trouble with
Everyone has.
Yeah. So, but they've been really creative, which I like. And last year to this year, it changed. So last year, they used different topic areas. So for a little while, they did math, and for a little while, they did science, and for a little while, they did language. And it was valuable, but then eventually they felt like they were kind of just adding more to the core subjects, not necessarily providing true intervention. So this year they decided to focus in primarily on language arts, and that's where they brought in the SRA. They're the group that drove that movement, and we brought in some new language arts resources that they could use. So we have a science specialist and a social studies and phys ed major who are helping now with language arts. So that's out of the box for them, but they're on board, which is great. And then their request, so this year the way it looked for them is they had 2 days, it was Monday and Tuesday, where they had a good chunk of time for what we call core skills. That's what we've called it for junior high. And they, like I said, progressed this year and have a better idea of what they want to do next year, but they wanted it daily, which is awesome. So next year they're getting a smaller chunk of time, but every single day. I think the biggest thing is don't waver on what your mission and mandate is. So as an administrator, having that confidence to say, this is what we're doing. And being clear that it's okay if we flounder, but we're not giving up. And give it a good chunk of time. To me, 1 year is not enough. 2 years is not enough. 3 years, I think we could be making some pretty steady evaluations. Is this worth it or not? I don't anticipate it not being worth it, right? But I think as an administrator, you have to be clear that this is what we're doing. And really finding those people on staff who will bite into it and be with you and really support them. And I think that's the next piece. Support them with time. If you can find time, if you can find release time where you bring in substitute teachers and get your teachers together as creatively as you can with budget constraints. If our small school can do it, I think anyone can do it. So I think that's really important to say, you know, kind of like, I'm making you do this. That's how some people feel, right? But I'm backing you up, and let me know how I can help you. And making sure as an administrator you stay part of the discussion, because often I find staff feel, well, it's easy for you to say you're not in the classroom, right? So get in the classrooms and watch, help, maybe be that extra support person who goes in and works with kids so that you can see. That's been one of the best assets too. I got to see what was happening in that Division 1 group, hands-on. I went in quite a bit because they were having great success early on. So then I could say to the other groups, well, here's what I saw Div 1 doing. I think it was this year, it could have even been last year. Our superintendent had started the year by saying, I think it was last year, fail forward, that failure is okay. And so really making sure that people know that, and that's where that aim at the end comes in, right? You get going and you fire and you make it happen, and then you find your focus if you need to. You know what the overarching focus is, but you'll narrow in on it as you're going through. And letting parents know that that's okay too. Right? We are very straightforward with our parents. This is where we're at. It's a learning curve. We're going to find our way as we go.